Hey, what's happening, guys? So here we are back again for the Python BACnet Stacks Playground. So this is just an applied course for some computer science theory, a little bit on Python world, and then also just BACnet applications for the HVAC control technicians and the IoT practitioner for anything HVAC related. It's not an advanced networking course in BACnet, nor is it a low-level bytes on the wire BACnet advanced network programming topic either. So yeah, we're just staying in the Python world with BAC0 and BACpypes3, which handle all of the BACnet data types for you, as that can get very complicated. So go above and beyond, which I'm talking about, and then we're still on vibe code app 2 checkpoint. So I have actually been chatting with ChatGPT a little bit about this. So I had some errors on this, but I think it might be a VPN connection. So let's just try this again. This is our same script that we've been working with. And I had an issue on this before. Okay, so this is working. So I think what we should be doing is, so under the hood, BAC0 is automatically selecting the NIC card on my desktop computer, kind of like our BACnet scan tool, how we had to select the proper NIC card. I think we should be doing this too in here. I'm just going to copy that in here. So I think there's a way to... Cool. It looks like ChatGPT even cleaned up. So I just ran this through ChatGPT, and then it even gave a much cleaner looking optimized code format. So it put the AHU points, the VAV points, and then just gave the devices for the fake air handling unit, fake VAV boxes, which are just BACpipe scripts replicating what these devices would look like. So I think this did clean it up a little bit. As you can see in here, actually, just like looking at this a little bit more. Where did it? Objects. So it's still like, if we would run this, let's just try running this. Let's see, so I still have to grab that correct IP address. I'm gonna close out of our program with a Control-C. Go way back up here. So this is the correct, that's the correct IP address of my NIC card. I don't think this is right. I'm just going to say bind to your correct NIC. Let's just see what this does. None and none, none. So it didn't work. So that didn't work. I didn't like what ChatGPT did. So it actually, what it's trying to do is request like a point discovery for all of the objects inside of the device, but it doesn't know the BACpypes API well enough to be able to do that. So like when I go here and I go to here, just so this is my same NIC card, I have to define another BACnet. So it's doing a whois right now. And then when I do my fake air handling unit, that's an object discovery right here. So it's doing that through here, which I don't think we want to do. I think that's kind of a bad practice. Like, because like most of so there's only a few points in here. It's a fake device, but like in the real world, there could be hundreds of points inside of a BACnet device. I've even seen a gateway BACnet device with 4,000 points in it. and the vast majority of them are garbage. And perhaps you only need, like, these are useful data points to collect an IoT, and then there, in a real world application, there'd be 100 more garbage points. And I think that's bad practice to scrape every point in the network. So I'm just gonna not do that. Go back to this version, but then I want to just use, I think we should be doing passing in our NIC card. I'm not 100% sure what peeing under the hood does in BAC0, but there might be some feature that it does a who is every once in a while, or just to make sure that the device is still online or something. So if I do this, so we still get our data, because we're hard coding defining everything, and the script before that was not. So I'm gonna tell ChatGPT, don't do an object discover hard code, please. That is bad practice, doing that, as I do not want to scrape every point on the BAS, because that can cause lots of network congestion, and the vast majority of points are garbage and not useful in IoT for HVAC. I'm just going to call it health purposes, FDD. Can this code be optimized but retain hard-coded point addressing? Okay, I'm just going to see what it says with this. Tell it not to do that. Yeah, that sucks. I did like how it kind of laid this out nicely. So let's just see what it does. All right, so hopefully we have a little bit of optimize. If it did anything, object map. No, it doesn't need to do that either. Wow. Oh boy. So yeah, it starts building a bunch of crap. This is garbage, guys. Garbage, garbage, garbage. So it's good to recognize that when AI builds garbage, it's adding in try and except handling here. So that's in Python. Yeah, we don't need any of this. It's adding in another function to do something that BAC0 has built into the source code. So yeah, when to know this is junk. Let's call it junk. Okay, so it didn't look like it really optimized anything. We just yelled at ChatGPT a little bit, but maybe it'll get a little better in time. So good to know. Okay, so we do actually have a probably somewhat of a nicely optimized. I guess one thing we could do, even, just thinking about this now, is like we could even put this up here. And then maybe we could even say this is BAC RPM request. And then we can pass that into here. And do the same thing with here, just make it look nice. This is our AHU RPM request. Pass that into here. if we really wanted to, we could make this into a function, because this is the same thing. It's just plowing through each one of the... I do have an idea though. How about we try this? I thought I was going to do our theory lecture for today, but so let's just say all results equal a list, like we did yesterday, of remember we did lists. So this is going to package our requests from our into a list. So it's packaging that into a nice little data structure. So we could say all RPM results, and then we could just loop through this. So it might be a little bit. So we could say for requests in all results, and then we could just tab this over, and I think this should work. And then it does kind of clean up our code base a little bit, so it makes our while true loop just look a little bit more cleaner. So this is basically the only thing running long term, and there's not a bunch of crap generated by AI. But it requires a bit more knowledge of the human to put this all together. A lot of fat fingering here, but that's okay. I think that's what we should do, because then you know, like, you have a good solid working script, and it's not gonna like cause our BACnet network problems. So IP address of your NIC card. All right, let's just try this. I think this should work. BAC0 fires up. Okay, good. So we could even say, I'm just going to add in another print here to separate out. This will just separate a line, so we know when the VAV starts and when the... Ooh, actually maybe we don't want that. Too many lines. So we could do this maybe. Here's what this looks like. I might even pass this into our F string here. Okay, let's just see if this looks any prettier. And we're definitely out of time here already. Whoa, okay, so that's what it looks like. So that's everything in our request. Too much data for us to look at, but we don't want to look at that actually. That is like, here, I'll explain that in a second. So like when we, so this is our request from our VAV, request from our air handling unit, and then we package that into a list, like the data structure that we've been talking about. And then we just print that, like we have all of those requests, and then we can for loop. We can just for request in all results. So that's, we're gonna just get each one of these, and then we're gonna plow through for object and property in results. Oh, okay. Okay, hold up. Let's just try this. I think I had something wrong. Okay, so this is, but I had a mistake. So we're gonna do for request in all results, which is the VAV and the air handling unit, and then we basically parse all of the data inside of that with some little parsing logic here, and then we print that. So, all right, so our script is getting just a little bit cleaner and easier to work with. There, I think it looks a little nicer. Then we're passing in our NIC card information here. A little bit of fat fingering going on with our BACnet scan tool. But is probably the right way to do it. Rather than having, I don't think what you want to do is, if you do an object discovery, you save that data to like a CSV file, and then you edit the CSV file as needed, because you don't need half the points in the building automation system. Just only scrape what you need, and then that keeps the BACnet network kind of healthy, because there's not a ton of data flying around. Okay, so like there, and like our while true loop is only 15 lines of code long, and it looks very clean and easy to understand. So I think this is well on our way to getting just to basically working for our CSV logging file app. And I am just like debating about whether or not to do. ChatGPT thought it was funny that I said its code was junk, which it was. So, and I made a better version, ChatGPT. So it did actually clean it up. And even put in asyncio.gather, which we talked a little bit about before. Like, if we had zillions of BACnet read multiple requests, we could use this asyncio.gather feature right here, which probably isn't a bad thing, but like, so our thing right here is this is technically synchronously kind of, stepping down the line. It is kind of interesting. I might actually borrow that feature. Maybe we should just drop our probably is not a bad example to put this into practice. Makes it a little bit more complicated to understand. So I'm just going to say result. Change the name around ChatGPT, change the name. So let's just, okay, so what the heck, why not? So, same results on our end. We don't notice the difference as the humans going on here, but like what is going on behind the scenes is like asyncio, is we're taking advantage of the asynchronous network stacks, using that. We don't notice a difference, but if we had hundreds, thousands of requests, we're taking advantage on how that all comes together. So maybe that's just a neat way of doing things. Maybe I should look at some of my apps and make sure that I am doing the asyncio.gather. So here we go, guys. I think this is probably enough for one day, but it is kind of tempting just to look at our lesson plan for today. Sometimes okay, so maybe next couple days we'll bash out some of our theory lectures, but it'll just like get a deep dive into more how to play around with these data structures, which is actually a really important way to do this. So maybe what we could do is just bash out a couple of the theory lectures in a row, because we do actually use this in our BACpypes and our BAC0 code bases. Lots of lists and lots of data lists and dictionary data structures and strings, which we talked about. So we'll get into like how we like that's parsing logic right here, which is super important to know. So all right, I think I might end this one for today, and I do like how our script is kind of functioning here. So I might actually use this on some of my apps too. This asyncio.gather feature is probably just best practice, and probably doesn't make a big difference for only just, this little test bench example. But if you had a real building automation system, hundreds, thousands of devices, and lots of things going on, it can't hurt because it's optimized. So thanks, guys. I will talk to you on the next one.